Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Classy Movie Rambles, where I talk about old movies that I found in my closet while cleaning. This week's movie is Conan the Barbarian from 2010, and it's about 1 hour and 52 minutes long. And the movie starts with the narration by Morgan Freeman, talking about the backstory about a bad guy that had an evil mask shatter, basically, and the shards of that mask were distributed to a couple of different barbarian clans. And a good thing to have in mind, this is a fantasy kind of dark setting, and Conan is born on a battlefield, and his mother gets killed during childbirth, and Conan grows up with his dad, basically. And he enters a trial where they're supposed to run up a mountain or something, and they're supposed to have like a sparrow's egg or a bird egg in his mouth, and the whole point of the whole trial is not to break the egg. So Conan runs with the other boys, and it's a competition who will make it there first, to basically fight with the other soldiers, the other men. And while they're up there, they get attacked by some tribal scouts, and the other boys flee, but Conan attacks them head on, and he kills them brutally and severs their heads and brings them back to his dad. It's very dark and very grim, and I think his dad is actually upset about Conan doing such a brutal deed. But later, Conan's father tries to teach Conan how to forge a weapon and the secret of steel, and it's just like the throwback to the original movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I think it's kind of a nice thing that you need to temper the sword, so you need both fire and ice to make a really cool sword, or a durable sword, I guess. So basically his father makes Frostmourne from World of Warcraft. I think they stole it from the Conan series from the 80s movie with Arnold, but whatever. It's a real cool looking sword. But later Conan is out in the woods, and he sees some armed troops arriving at their village. Kalar is the main bad guy, leads this army, and he's looking for the pieces of that mask, that evil mask, so he can basically, I think, return his wife to life or something. But anyway, so Conan witnessed the attack on a village, and his father gets shot, and there's a fight, and Conan ends up being captured along with his dad, and Conan is forced to see his father kill himself because he has like a chain to some kind of melting pot with hot iron. So if either Conan lets go or his dad lets go, they'll be showered in this hot kind of metal. So the bad guy gets his mask, and Conan's dad is forced to kill himself because they can't hold on forever, and everything is burning around. And so this kind of seals Conan's fate. He grows up to become a barbarian, and he does whatever he pleases. So he helps, he saves some slaves. This is when he has grown up, basically, and there is a party and some nudity, and at this party Conan realized that one of the bad guys, kind of henchmen, lieutenants or general or whatever, is there, and Conan actually cut off his nose, which was kind of gruesome but also funny. So he recognized the guy, and he wants revenge, right, for the death of his entire village and his father and everything. So he finds out that this guy without a nose, he's looking for a thief, and Conan sees this thief trying to hide out, and Conan basically helps him out. And he gets captured willingly, so he can get to the bad guy in person, which is a really brilliant idea, and it's very risky but really cool. So Conan gets taken to a prison colony where he brutally kills the guards and gets in contact with the man with no nose, and he gets some direction on where to go, and then cut into a monastery where the last piece of the puzzle is there is this girl called Tamara, and she is a pure blood. And what that means is, in order to complete the whole evil mask plot, they need pure blood. They need her blood, basically. So at the monastery where she is, and the bad guys advance on the monastery because somehow they figure out that she's there, and she escapes in one of the bad guys' wagons. And later, Conan jumps on that wagon because he believes, via horse by the way, which is really cool, and he opens up the rooftop and he realizes that it's not actually a bad guy, it's Tamara, and he's kind of confused about what's going on. And there is a battle on horseback, and one of the other bad guys of Kalar or whatever his name was, is there. He's called Remo, and there's a fight where Conan actually defeats him, knocks him out, and he wants to get more direction on where to go. So they bind him up, and there's like a campfire scene between Tamara and Conan where they have a little backstory about things and whatnot. And then they get some more information from Remo where the bad guys later is, and I think it's like a slave colony. And what they basically do is Conan arms a trebuchet or a catapult, and he puts Remo on it with a note attached, and he fires into the bad guy's house. Kind of like this crazy kind of scene. And there is a meeting to set up. Conan is actually using Tamara as bait to lure him out, but Conan only wants revenge. So they're basically double crossing each other, because Conan tells him to come along, but the evil guy brings his daughter, and there's a fight, and the daughter summons these kind of sand beasts that Conan has to fight, and there's not a really fair fight at all. And what happens is that the daughter of Kamalar or whatever, she poisons Conan with some kind of poison through a dagger, and there's a real this uneven fight, and he can't even fight straight. So he jumps off a cliff with Tamara into the water, and he escapes to his friend's boat. So he's also a pirate, by the way, I forgot to tell. But yeah, so during the night on the ship, the ship get attacked by Kamar's forces again, or at the first time, my bad. And the good guys win. And what happens is that now Conan has gotten information on where to go. There's like this place where the bad guy's at. He figured out where to go basically. So he goes on that way, and Tamara follows him, and there's a love scene in like a small hut in a house. But in the morning she leaves, and yeah. So Tamara gets captured, not a big spoiler, it was bound to happen, and she gets taken to the bad guy's lair where they sample her blood, and they figure out that she's a pure-blooded necromancer, which shocks Tamara as well, because she had no idea that was actually what it meant to be a pure-blood. She thought she was a good kind of person, but yeah. So Conan needs help to break into the bad guy's lair because he realizes that Tamara has been captured, so he goes to return the favor from the thief at the beginning of the movie. He goes to the city of thieves and he finds them, and they go to Kalar's lair, and they go through like a sewer system, and the thief kind of opens door after door for Conan to just walk in and waltz in, and the thief tries to talk him out of it because it's a really bad idea to go in against this overwhelming foe. But anyway, Tamara gets taken to a place where she's supposed to be sacrificed to bring the mask back to life because it's a powerful evil item. And Conan basically takes out a guard and puts on the robe of the guard, and the fighting starts. So he basically confronts the main bad guy, and the ground falls apart. And Tamara is strapped to this kind of wheel, and it's used as a counterweight for the fight. And she screams a lot during this scene. I have to lower the volume of the TV because she was screaming a lot. But it's not a fair fight because now he's all powerful, Kamar. And what happens is that Tamara there's this fighting up and down, and she gets loose from the wheel, and she's forced to fight the daughter of the bad guy. And Conan arrives to cut off her hand, and the daughter gets impaled on a stick, and she dies. And then there is some more fighting, and the bad guy realizes that his daughter is dead. And once again, Tamara gets tangled. This is kind of the reminiscence of the same scene with Conan at the beginning of the movie, where he's holding a chain to save his father. Now he's holding onto Tamara via a chain. So he can't let go of her. She's dangling off a cliff, and Kalmar arrives, or whatever his name is, I always forget. And there's this scene where he tries to turn her over to the evil vessel or something, so she starts to change, and Conan can't let her go. So he does the same trick that he did in the beginning that his father pulled on him when they were fighting. I forgot to tell about it, but it was at the beginning of the movie. He breaks the walkway and Kalmar falls to his death. And they get out of the cave before it collapses. And Conan takes Kamara back to her monastery and just leaves her there. I don't know what his deal is, but, I thought they had a thing together, but no. And then Conan goes home to his birthplace, and he kind of thinks about all the things that his father told him about the way of the sword and everything, and now he's kind of deserved it, I guess. So, and that's the end of the movie. So what do I think about this movie? It's a nice action movie, and there's some aspects that I don't like. It's really gory and there's a lot of blood, which, I mean, there's no need to spray everything with buckets of blood all the time. And I think maybe this Conan is more faithful to the kind of the comic books and whatnot, and how brutal Conan was. But I mean, you don't have to overdo it. I mean, it's probably rated mature or something. There's a lot of nudity and there's a lot of blood, but I don't know, it's not really necessary. It's a good action movie, don't get me wrong, but perhaps if they toned down the gore and the blood, it would have been fine. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.